So while you were watching maybe the Heisman show on Saturday or other things, there was plenty of big baseball news that started on Friday that we want to catch you up on. Starting with a deal we learned of as we were leaving the building here Friday afternoon, and that's Kyle Tucker going to the Chicago Cubs in exchange for a really intriguing package that includes Isaac Paredes, Hayden Wesneski, and prospect Cam Smith. Wesneski, perhaps not a coincidence, a Houston native. Isaac Paredes is probably the biggest immediate contributor on this group that goes to Houston. He's going to play third base most likely. He's not a free agent until 2028, so there's plenty of canvas left, as opposed to Kyle Tucker, who, despite being a big-time run producer and one of the best left-handed bats in the game, only has one more year of service time left on the contract. So my question for you is this. I feel like the Astros made a really good trade here because they have this issue now with Alex Bregman, who appears closer to leaving now that they've acquired a third baseman. That's a side story. But you had Tucker, who you had to get back into bed with Scott Boras with, and that's a tough renegotiation, right? Boras likes to bring his guys to the open market. Yep. Now it's the Cubs' problem because they're going to have 1 year of Kyle Tucker before they have to enter this long negotiation again to keep him there. Who won this trade at very first glance for you?
Well, look, the Astros had to trade him. And when you're in a have-to situation, they did great. Kyle Tucker is going to help the Cubs go to the next level depending on what they decide to do with the rest of their roster.
Yeah, and I misspoke. Kyle Tucker is listed as a client of Excel Sports Management, so not a Scott Boras client.
But I still think it's going to be hard to lock him up. I thought he was a Boras guy.
Yeah, I did too. Okay. We were quickly corrected, Max. Thanks for that.
So, look, that's my takeaway from it. Maybe they're able to do the year courtship and work out a long-term deal. That's what the Cubs are banking on. And a lot of that has to do with the relationship with the agent. If that was a Boras client, it's not no knock. It's just Scott's taking him all the way.
Yeah.
So that's not a deal that you want to do. So it makes a little more sense for the Cubs. But here's my takeaway from it all. We've watched now Montgomery get traded from the Red Sox, and we watched Cam Smith now get traded. Both first-round picks last summer.
Yeah.
It's time to trade the draft picks. You imagine if you're going to say, they've been in the team, 3 months, 4 months, and now they get dealt? What if you were able to sit there and go, trade deadline, I'm trading the 13th pick in the draft, and I'm going to go ahead and go get Burns or somebody in a deal. You know, I'm just making it up.
Right.
But I think we're at that point in baseball. You want to make our trade deadline a little more exciting? Throw the draft pick in.
Right. The only trading you can do on picks is with comp picks, as we know.
Right.
And wasn't that the Incaviglia rule? Wasn't that what they call the Incaviglia rule?
Could have been. I don't know. But it's time to change it. I mean, we put such stock now in the minor league system.
Right.
That guys are actually getting longer-term deals because my minor league system's better than yours.
Right.
But if you have a coveted major league player that you have to go get and you want to move, imagine Kyle Tucker last year at trade deadline, and you knew you could go get a top draft pick for him. That deal would have been done easy.
I think on behalf of the Cubs, and we're not meaning to say the Cubs made a bad deal here, I think they have a pretty good sense that Kyle Tucker is somebody they have a strong chance of keeping beyond the year, right? Because the reporting was that he was thrilled with the trade, really pleased to be going to a place like Wrigley Field, like the Cubs organization, et cetera, history. So maybe they think because of that, they've already done their research. I'm sure they have. I mean, that's pretty bright.
And they have a relationship, I'm sure, with his representatives that made them feel.
Same agent as Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, that made them feel confident that, hey, we can work something out long term if Kyle says he likes it.
So this could turn into a win-win for both sides. Yeah. I do like the deal the Astros made, though, because it's going to make it easier for them if they're unable to retain Alex Bregman